Good morning. The question today is how do we create really great line graphs that look like this and maybe go to the analytics tab and play with constant lines, trend lines, and things like that when our data just doesn't play well. In this case, I'm talking about data that comes in as date. The whole column is a date, and you have to really, to overcome that, what you need to do is to create a pivot value. It's kind of tricky, right? Because sometimes data doesn't play nice. In this case, what we're kind of looking at here, you see I'm using the screens. I have different kind of data set here. My data set here looks really nice, but we don't always get the year all sorted out really lovely like this in some cases. In some cases, we get the year, which looks more like this. Like I have the EPA pollution set year, and every column is emissions from 001, 002, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each one of these are years, but the data doesn't play right, so you can't sit there. You'll notice when you hit the show me, I don't get a line graph option. It's just not there. So now the real problem comes in. How do I overcome this? Because I want to create line graphs. You see I can pivot around and navigate through these sheets, but at the end of the day, the problem is just the problem. I need to solve this problem. So let's go ahead and play with it, and we'll see how to create many sheets to analyze this pollution set data. So if you go to data source, the best way to do this, or the easiest way to do this, you see, here's the problem. It's 90, 96, 97. We have all these date fields. If you think about it, you really need to highlight these, hold the shift key, all the years that you want, make sure you get them all. You highlight them all, you hit the drop down arrow, and you pivot them. Now you see a couple things. You see pivot field names. Now this really now is year, right? Now we have a year in here, and we have each year going on. And pivot field of values, the amount that you need to pivot. So we pivoted some, we have the values and the amount. It's actually pretty critical. So when you go to your new sheet, in that regard, what you can do, you see you have pivot field values, and you can put the pivot field values in, and you can start playing with it. It still doesn't really look right? So let's go back to data source. Let's take a look at this year, ABC, a date string. It converts to year. Go back to our sheet that we created. And there it is. See it? The year is now in the values. I'm sorry. Sorry. Year. Values. And you can create a line graph. And once you have that line graph in, then you're able to do more advanced functionality. But pivoting the column structure is the best thing. Of course, remember to analyze it. Great. Now look at these beautiful years. They're all sitting in here. They're all done. And it's nice. And you have years and you have values going in and some. So now we have all our line graph capability. The key is you're going to have to make sure that you get all the years in there. Make sure you pivot the whole data set. But it's a pretty powerful feature. And you just got to think differently about your data. You also might want to mask some of these, because this looks. You see how I converted them in that regard. You want to make sure that we actually go into data source. And before you do that, is 2002 is 2002. The best way to do it, right? That when you pivot to values, it comes a bit better and easier. And then when you do the year, it's a little bit better this way. You can also do a few other things with it. It's easier to format and all those other things. So you just make sure you do that, and you'll be in a better shape to analyze large data sets like the EPA data set. I hope this video is useful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section here, and you'll be able to create all the great line graphs that you need, as you see from the sheet. You can scroll down through our sheets. There's great analysis coming out of the EPA data set, merging other data sets. You'll be able to create all of them in here, and you'll be able to look at different states and totals and add forecasts and things like that. So I hope this was useful. Have an absolutely great day.